as the scorecard stands, a Benn has never beaten a Eubank in the ring.
And they never will.
This is bigger than money. This is legacy. This is heritage.
The procedure will be parliamentary. I will uphold the family name. This is not a time to be cordial. If there's ever a day that he comes clean about what happened and why it happened, why he failed those drugs tests, then we can talk about shaking hands. Until that time, no respect will be given to this kid. None. I hate what he represents.
First day we faced off, I had like a warmth in my heart, knowing that in just under 8 weeks, I am going to render you unconscious. I slept so good that night. You gotta remember, I'm undefeated. He's been beat, flattened, knocked out. Yeah, listen, I'm 28. He's done what he's had to do in his career. He's finished. You know, I've got to do this for my dad. You know, because he couldn't do it himself. It's only right that I do justice for the second fight. It was a draw that he should have won.
What he did in failing these 2 drugs tests, in my opinion, is unacceptable. As you said, people have been paralyzed, people have died. I've just got to make sure that we set an example here. He's put question marks against the Benn name because, as they say, like father, like son. So if he's capable of cheating...
You think this ain't personal now? And you can rub salt in my wounds. You think this ain't personal now? Wait till I come for his head. For me, this is no pressure. I'm gonna get out there, do what I do, and if there is any pressure, pressure makes diamonds. And all the pressure I've had to have my whole career is put me in good stead for now. And you know, I've always risen to the occasion. It's just what I do now. There's no pressure because I've done it so many times now. And you know, over the years, I've just got better at my craft, and you know, I've got stronger as I've got older, more confident, mainly experience as well. So I just feel like I'm gonna go in there and hand this guy a beating.
You know what? And the funny thing is, I'm not even trying to build the fight up. It's not about selling the fight. The fight's already been sold. I was doing things and saying things that I just believed were right. I believed had to be said, had to be exposed. There's a lot of shady people in this industry. And I love shining a light on those individuals.
He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. It's just as bad as his fashion sense. He's absolutely terrible. That's it, period. You know, so, yeah, I'll blow him out there. No problem. I look at him and there's nothing special. Smith made him look the best he possibly could, and he still didn't look good.
When you started your career, you always cared what people thought about you?
Interesting thing about this fight is that there will be 2 bad guys. It's fun. I enjoy it. I love the haters. I love the doubters. I love getting booed into arenas and drinks flying, and I feed off of that energy now, as sick as that sounds. So it's okay. But Conor does not. That's the big difference. Conor is a completely different animal to me. Conor is, you know, he used to be the golden boy. Everyone was behind him. Everyone supported him. Everyone wanted to see him become the next big thing. And now he has an army of haters just like me.
You know, you're a nobody till you got haters. So, you know, I'm obviously doing something right.
Before, no one was booing you. You were actually the hero going into a Chris Eubank fight. Now you'd be the villain. Going into that fight.
No.
What do you reckon?
No, I still think I'll be the hero.
I
think I'll be doing the country a favour. You know, I always get shown love everywhere I go, you know, because
it's quite fun, isn't it? Like when you come to a show, you get absolutely mobbed with love, and then you turn on social media, Twitter, and it's like, you know.
No, I know, but no one would ever say anything to my face.
For me, emotions do nothing but complicate and stifle and ruin a performance. You know, when you really hate somebody, you're not thinking straight. You're not acting accordingly. You're not sticking to the game plan. All you want to do is tear this guy apart because you hate him. You know, I do want to tear this guy apart, but I'm going to do it clinically. I'm going to do it with a boxing brain, not a mind full of hate.
He's still an idiot, and I'm still going to come in there and do what I got to do anyway. You know, he don't dictate what I do, who I am, how I think. I think he's an idiot and he's going to get ironed out April 26. That's all there really is to it, because he thinks he's smart, but he ain't smart, he's an idiot.
The animosity seems to stem from the drug test failures.
It's very, very personal now. Before our old men fought 35 years ago, the people want to see us fight. And it is a great story. Now, me and Conor have our own history. We have our own beef. We have our own story. You mix that together with the fact that our fathers have fought, it makes for, you know, an insane event, an insane story, an insane night because it's real and it's never happened before in the history of boxing, and it will never happen again.
I think it's going to be detrimental to Chris Eubank Jr. if he loses, not just for the family name, but just because of the stage of his career. If Conor Benn loses the fight, he can come again. He's coming up from welterweight, he's coming up from 147 pounds, fighting Chris Eubank Jr., who's naturally the bigger man, up at 160, who's competed at super middleweight 168. Eubank Jr., if he loses to Conor Benn at this stage of his career, other than a rematch with Conor Benn, he's probably got nowhere to go. Can you name anything that Chris Eubank Jr. does well in the ring? Is there anything that stand out, like, you don't want to give him credit and big him up, but is there anything we say actually?
Genuinely.
Because you don't really rate him, do you, as a fighter?
Genuinely.
Yeah, genuinely, do you think, right, okay, he does
His
that
biggest attribute was his engine, was his hunger, and his ferociousness.
Yeah. So you must have some like respect for that.
But I wouldn't say that's as of the past 4 years.
No. Right, so you think that's gone from it?
I feel like the whys are very different now. The arrogance, you can't learn. You can't grow.
Do you think it's purely motivated now by money?
No, for a minute, why would you fight? Well, why would you fight a welterweight?
The day I found out that, they were saying that these drug tests, these failed drugs tests, were because of contaminated eggs. The day I heard that story, that fabrication, that fantasy that they really kind of stuck with, I said there and then, I'm going to hit this guy with it across the face as soon as I get a chance. And that was 2.5 years ago. Planned, it was anticipated. It was an egg of justice. It was a symbol. It wasn't about attacking him or hurting him or slapping him. It was about making an example. I had to shine a light on the fact that he was a cheat. Too many times so many guys in the industry, they get popped for drugs, they pay a fine, they serve a little ban, and then they're back in the ring, and 6 months later, a year later, like it's nothing, and people forget. I couldn't bear for that to happen in this instance. I had to do something which was going to remind people for the rest of this kid's life. You are a cheat, and there's no hiding it. There's no forgetting it.
Who's more of a bad guy, yourself or Chris?
I'm not a bad guy.
No.
Joe, what's funny?
That's what I get. I get that you're not a bad guy.
I'm not a bad guy. I'm definitely not a bad guy. I'm not how, I don't know what happens, but I'm definitely misunderstood. I am definitely misunderstood. Because I'm not a bad guy at all.
Fair enough. He's failed 2 drug tests for clomiphene. It's a masking agent for potentially taking other drugs. But let's not go into the substance. Let's not be too scientific. The facts are, he's failed drugs test for clomiphene, which is a banned substance in boxing. Now, whether or not he knows how it got there, there's a thing called strict liability. So you're responsible for what's inside your body. Whether or not you can convince anybody or you can convince yourself that you've not taken it, you are guilty by the fact that it's in your system. And I think that's what Conor Benn's struggling to deal with it. And I think that's why he's turning a lot of the fans, he's turned so many fans against him because of his attitude toward it. He's just profoundly claiming his innocence. I get that. But there comes a point where you've got to say, listen, I failed 2 drugs tests, don't know what happened, I'm sorry. And 2 words, I'm sorry, would go a long way.
This fight blew up after being canceled 2 years ago when Conor Benn was caught using steroids. What began as a family feud is now personal. Chris Eubank wants to punish him in the ring. Did Conor deserve the egg slap, or did Chris go too far? Hit like on the video if you're excited for this fight. Who do you think will win?